Good morning. Welcome to Walking Boxing. It is Saturday, October the 18th, 2025. And 18th of October. Wow. Starting to see Christmas decorations getting around, people talking about Christmas. They're right. As you get older, the years tend to go by faster and faster, don't they? But all you can do is just live day by day. That's all you can do. As my little mate Neil says here. All right, on this day in boxing history, what have we got? Back in 2000, we'll go to 2008. Bernard Hopkins won a 12-round decision over Kelly Public in Atlantic City, New Jersey. I think that might have been a non-title fight because I reckon Hopkins was coming off the loss to Calzaghe. I might be wrong. It was a 12 round, so maybe there was a title at stake, but I can't remember. But that's what happened on this day, 2008. In 2014, Gennady Golovkin, Triple G, won the interim WBC middleweight title with a second round knockout of Mexico's Marco Antonio Rubio. And that was in Carson, California, so I'm assuming it was the StubHub Center or whatever it's called these days. And in 2019, it says here Canadian Artur Beterbiev. I think we all know he's Russian, just based in Canada because of what's going on over there. Was crowned the WBC light heavyweight champion by knocking out Ukraine's Alexander Gvozdyk in the 10th round, and that fight took place in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. So that's what's happened on this day in boxing history. Now, on to the Aussie news. Just a quick one on the Nikita Tszyu Michael Zerafa fight. Still looks like it's in motion for December now. Of course, there was fears that the fight could be delayed or cancelled. I don't think it was ever in danger of being cancelled because it was, while it was obviously it's a serious matter being in a car crash, there was no serious injuries, just a little bit shaken up, and apparently he'll be off for a couple of weeks and then he'll get back into it. So I'm probably thinking it was October 18th now. He's probably already been in some pretty solid training anyway, I would think. So if he takes 2 weeks break, it's not going to really upset things, and no doubt he'll keep the body just sort of turning over without sort of doing anything strenuous, I would think. Maybe a bit of a light jog or a little bit of shadow boxing or something, I don't know, but it won't be too much. But so you would think that if he's back by the end of October, that gives him a good sort of 6-week lead in. So I'm sure he'll be fine. That is if it is when we think it is, and that'll be probably the week before Christmas. So good news. The one thing that hasn't been decided on yet, I mean, the fight hasn't, from what I hear, hasn't officially been signed, sealed and delivered. So I think we've got to relax just a little bit there. And the main, I suppose, sign of that is that there's no weight being decided on just yet. Come here, buddy. I'm assuming it will be with no title on the line. It'll probably just be a 10-rounder, I would think, unless they just make it a 12-rounder just for the hell of it. But it looks like, obviously Zerafa is a middleweight, so 160. Nikita is a super welterweight, which is 154. So the word is they might actually meet in the middle, I think, at 157. So I think that is, about 71 and a half kilos, I think, or just over, between 71 and 71 and a half kilos, so 157, which probably makes sense. And I think Michael will probably say, well, it just should be at middleweight. I mean, it's not much, and Nikita will be saying, well, yeah, it is a lot because I campaign at 154, and like it or not, from Michael's point of view, Nikita Tszyu is 100% the A side, so he'll probably no doubt get to negotiate a little bit harder. And I wouldn't be surprised, if I'm being honest, if they make Michael come down even a fraction more to maybe even 156. Now, I know it's only a pound, but they'll be looking for every advantage they possibly can, as you would expect whenever you're in a fight like this and you've got Michael, who's been calling Nikita out for so long. Well, not so much Nikita, but calling pretty much the whole family out. Kostya will be next. You'll want to crack at Kostya as well. But he's been calling Tim out for a long time, obviously. So I would think the fact that Nikita is the A side, Michael's chasing him. They will put all the advantages in Nikita's favour. I mean, who knows? They could even say, well, if you want the fight, you come down to 154. I mean, you want to fight us. We're not chasing you. You want to fight us, so come to 154. I think knowing teams do, they'll give a little bit, but as I said, I wouldn't be surprised if they just make Michael just take that extra pound off. Then I wouldn't be surprised if there's a rehydration clause as well. And you might be thinking, well, geez, it's a little bit unfair on Michael, and it's got to be fair. It's got to, they've got to have even chances to win, all that sort of stuff. Unfortunately, that's not the case in boxing. And just again highlighted by what I just said with Nikita being the A side, he hasn't chased his fight. Michael's chased his fight, so he's going to have to bend. It's it's nowhere near as bad as probably the Conor Benn and Chris Eubank situation over there, where Chris Eubank's been made to make 160, and then the rehydration clause is 170 the next day, and this is a guy that normally fights at 168, so he's also already gone down 8 pounds, and then he's got to rehydrate as well, and all the rest of it. So they were obviously pretty strict on enforcing the rules and regulations in that contract, because I think he got penalised like $1 million or something for missing by 0.5 grams or something. So a similar thing here. Now, as I said, a lot of you out there think it's really unfair on Michael and it should be even Stevens, but it's just not the case. With Nikita being the A side and him being chased, he will say, no, this is the terms, take it or leave it. And Michael will take it. He will take it. It's the biggest fight. I know a lot of you again will argue it, but for me, it is the biggest fight of his career so far. A lot riding on it for Mike. I know he's world ranked and he's fought Lara and he's fought Brooke and he's fought all the others. I get that. But this, maybe arguably Jeff Horn, I suppose you could throw in there. But this, for me, is his biggest fight. And this is the one that probably means the most to him, I would think. That he wants to get one over the Zeus. And this is his chance, because the Australian public have been at him for so long. He hasn't been able to live it down since he pulled out of the Tim fight, 4 years ago. And his boxing's bad, boy, and I think he's a bit sick of it, to be honest. And I think he wants to take it out on one of the Zeus. And it's not going to be Tim, but looks like he's going to get a chance at Nikita. So, but either way, it looks like we're on the road to having that fight. It'd have to be signed pretty soon, I would think. I would say now that this has happened with Nikita, I think, I did hear that it was imminent they were going to announce it. I mean, as early as next week. I wouldn't be surprised they might wait an extra week or even 2, and so they 100% make sure that Nikita is ready to go. And as I said, I've got no doubt he will be. So still gives them a good 6-7 week lead in. The pay-per-views will go really quick. It won't take too much to pump this fight up and promote it and really get it out there. I mean, we're all sort of sitting there waiting for it to be announced anyway, so I'm sure we've all got our 70 or 80 bucks ready to spend on the pay-per-view and get to the fights and all this sort of stuff. So I don't think a week or 2 is going to make too much difference. So when you've got a big fight, it's just a big fight and everyone just piles on really quick. If you don't really need that build up, especially in this case. So so that's the go with Nikita and Michael. So we'll keep an eye on that. Now, this weekend, a big fight. Desley Robertson will be fighting in Texas for the undisputed or unified world middleweight female title. I've got the card up here. Now, she is fighting, where is it? Now, it's on the Lourdes Juarez Jessica Neri Plata undercard. So they're fighting for the world light flyweight title. So she's fighting Logan Holler for the IBF and WBO, I think it's WBA middleweight title. So Desley 10-3 up against Logan Holler 11-3-1. So Desley coming off, hang on, BoxRec wants to verify that I'm a human. Last time I looked, yes. So coming off a 10-round decision over Chloe Chaos back in April, and if I can find it here, and her opponent Logan Holler, who is 11-3-1 from, where's she from? Florida, living in South Carolina. Her last fight was a first round stoppage win back in July over Takea Farmer. That is for the world middleweight title, and it will be on DAZN, so make sure you check that out if you've got the app. I think the card starts at about 11 o'clock. So a great opportunity for Desi Robinson to be the unified world middleweight title. And I really hope if she wins that she gets her due, because, and quite rightly so, Shanika Johnson's got all the accolades at the moment for being the undisputed bantamweight title. I don't think this is the undisputed, but it's 3 out of 4 belts. It's a great achievement. So even while Shanika, fantastic effort, and her last performance, she deserves all the attention, I would really hope that Desi Robinson gets her time in the sun as well. I mean, she's very unheralded here in Australia. I know the middleweights aren't as hot a division, or the depth of opponents aren't as deep as they are in the lighter weight divisions, but still, you can only fight who's around, and Desi's putting her hand up and fighting everyone at the moment, and really wants to get those 4 belts and make her mark in the sport. So good on her. So that's on DAZN tomorrow morning, so make sure you tune in and check it out. Another Aussie, that female Aussie that's back, looks like Skye Nicholson. Now, she's going to be fighting in December, or on December 13th, in Stockton, California, where I was lucky enough to be at for Jason Maloney's win over Vincent Astrolabio a couple of years ago for that world bantamweight title. So I'm assuming it'll be at the same stadium. Now, she's fighting on the card. Now, it'll be Gabe Flores and Joe Cordina. And I think the main event is Diego Pacheco, Kevin Sajdo. That's the Matchroom card. So December 13th. So she's fighting Ronda Luna, who's 17-4 with 2 knockouts. Skye is 14-1 with 3 knockouts. You would think that's just a good tune-up for Skye Nicholson to get back into the scheme of things. She's down at 122 now, so I would expect that Eddie would not match her with anyone too seriously, I wouldn't have thought. And it's not a comeback fight. I suppose that she's had that one fight already since she lost to Tiara Brown. We'll see what she can do at 122. I mean, she looked good in her last fight, but I mean, let's face it, the opponent was woeful. But she looked like she'd worked on a few things, and let's see if she can put it into practice against, let's just say a better fighter than what she fought last time. So look, she's dangerous at 122. I'm still, admirer of Skye as far as her ability goes. I think she's a very, very good fighter. And, I think she should win another belt at 122. Just wouldn't it be great to see if she does win at 122, maybe Shanika Johnson move up to 122 to fight her in an all-Aussie super fight. Now, I know they are sort of friends, but when's that mattered? They were on all the amateur teams together and everything, so they are friendly. But as I said, this is a business, and it would be a big fight. And again, if she wanted an in-between fight or an all-Aussie fight, then there's Shannon O'Connell, who's waiting in the wings, who would just love a crack at Skye Nicholson at 122, or whatever weight that Skye wanted to fight at, really. That's how bad she wants to fight. We'll just cross over here. All right, we'll just get across the road. All right, what's happening in the world? The world of boxing at the moment. You probably would have seen the, the rant from Oscar De La Hoya yesterday about TKO. Very, very, I don't know what happened to his editor. The person, I think it's his missus, isn't his wife, partner, whatever she is, who normally does his videos. But poor old Oscar was just sitting in his office or some room with no audio, or no microphone anyway, and no effects and videos and all that to go with it. So, but he got his point across. Look, he made a really good point. Why do we want to change the act when no other promoter has ever had a problem with it? No promoter, no fighter, no anyone really has ever had an issue with the Muhammad Ali Act, and now Dana White comes in and wants to change the whole thing just to suit their organisation to have more control. It doesn't make much sense to me. And what's even more disappointing, you've got the California State Athletic Commission, which is I think the most sort of active state in the country, in the States. There's more fights here than any other state in the US, and they've just rolled over straight away and called a surprise get together. I don't think it was supposed to be until December. Well, they've called a meeting, or whatever you might want to call it, and they voted it straight in. So yeah, you just got to wonder. You got to wonder. Look, we all know Dana's got some great connections and all that sort of stuff, but just to go through 2 months before they were supposed to meet, yeah, something's a bit fishy there. And the fact that they voted at 6-0, not a lot of real contention amongst the ranks there. They've just voted it straight through. So I'm not sure. But I'm with Oscar and all the other promoters on this one. Why change it? Doesn't need to be changed. It's worked for so long. I understand there's issues with the sanctioning bodies and all that sort of stuff. I get it. But that's a little bit different to what is going on with what Zuffa Boxing are trying to do, to totally dictate the careers of the fighters and almost like a domestic violence victim almost, isn't it? To have that force at home who's really overbearing and controlling and everything else, and yet it's like a marriage you can't get out of, a violent one, and that's what it sounds like to me. Once the fighters are locked in, they're locked in, and Daddy Dana can really do what he wants. Again, I'm a big fan of Dana and what he's done. I love what he's done with the UFC, but I do not agree with what they're trying to do in this situation. So, and they can spin it whatever way they want. I just don't think it's good for boxing, and especially when you've got so many of the current promoters so against it. And the laws are in place to actually protect the fighters against the promoters. And if the promoters haven't got a problem with it, then oh, geez, magpie there. Why does it need to be changed? But anyway, I'm sure more will come out on that one. All right, last one, Alexander Usyk. We might be blessed to have him around for another 3 years. He's 38 at the moment. He said he'll fight until he's 41. So that's great news for boxing fans. It means I'm hoping he can keep all the belts. I doubt it, but I'm hoping he can. And which probably means, I think they said he might have maybe another 5 fights. Worst case, 4 fights. So if he fights, so he's not going to fight again this year. So he'll probably have 2 in. Well, you would think he'd have 4 in the next 3 years, I would think. I don't think he's going to fight twice a year for the next 3 years. So 4, maybe 5. But anyway, I mean, the big question, of course, comes, who is he going to fight? That's the big one. And when and how. The one fight he did rule out was Moses Otama. I've got a suspicion that give it another year or 2, he might change his mind. You would think the first one that makes sense is the winner of Fabio Wardley and Joseph Parker. That's the one for me. So that I would think, be his next fight. You wouldn't have thought it'd be, who else is there at the moment? No one really to float his boat. If it's not Otama, I just don't see anyone. So I would think he'll sit out until maybe, what is it now? These guys are going to fight, is it next weekend or I think it is. So you would think that he might go again, say, in April or May. I would probably think Alexander Usyk against that winner. And then at the end of the year, I would think it'd be someone like an Ajit Kabal. I would think there's not really much else happening. Then after that, I would say it would be, now this is coming from left field a little bit, I've got a feeling that Anthony Joshua and Tyson Fury will fight sometime in 2026. And the winner of that will fight Alexander Usyk. Now, you would have heard in previous videos, I'm not interested in Fury and Usyk 3. I'm not really interested, I'm not interested at all in Joshua and Usyk 3. I think he's been there and done that. But can you imagine the attention if they do fight? The winner of that fight will be pushed forward like nothing else. So let's just say Tyson Fury beats Anthony Joshua. You would think that all of a sudden Frank Warren and that are going to really push this. All of a sudden Tyson's back. He's beaten Joshua. He's, in his mind, will be the biggest name in heavyweight boxing. So you can see where it's going to gather momentum. That's what I think. And similar with Anthony Joshua. Doesn't really matter who wins. They've got similar profiles, similar supporter bases, big names, big money fighters. So whoever wins that will all of a sudden, pretty much, probably unfairly because Usyk's the man, but they will be the hottest property in boxing if Fury and Joshua fight. So that's the one I would think would be at the start of his first one of 2027. Then I reckon he might readdress the Moses Otama fight because in 2 years' time or 18 months' time, Otama could have had maybe 4 or 5 fights by then and be ranked in the top sort of 2 or 3 of all 4 organisations, and then all of a sudden it makes a little bit of sense for him to fight him. So I get it doesn't make sense right now, well, sort of doesn't make sense, but in a year and a half to 2 years, that fight will make a hell of a lot of sense if Otama continues the way he's going at the moment. excuse me, and has five or six fights under his belt. So that's what I think. And then the fifth fight, well, could be anybody. Could be anybody. Who knows? Maybe our man Justice when he's back up there by then, or Jaya Pataya is at heavyweight. That's probably even the more attractive one for me. So maybe that could be the fifth fight. Jaya Pataya in 2020. What would that be? 2028. So it's got a ring about it. Jaya will only be 33, I think by then, 33, 34, maybe 33. So, and would have had maybe 2 or 3 fights at heavyweight by then. So that's my plan. So I think maybe, what do I say, it'd be the winner of Parker Wardley first, then it'll be Ajit Kobayal, I would think. Then hypothetical Joshua and Fury, then Moses Otama, and then Jaya Pataya to finish off. How's that for a nice little end of the career 5 fights? I've got my doubts he can get through all 5 of those, if I'm being honest. At some stage, the wheels can fall off. And that's 5 really good fighters. Obviously, the softest one in there is probably Kobayal, but he can still fight. So we will see. But that's the plan at the moment. I don't know why he picked 41, by the way. It's a bit of an odd age. If you had just said, look, I just want 5 fights over the next 3 years, that probably makes a bit more sense. But to say I'm going to fight until I'm 41 is a bit odd. But anyway, that's the 5 fights I reckon anyway. Give us your thoughts on what you think will happen with Alexander Usyk. Just a quick one too. I did see, speaking of heavyweights, Daniel Dubois looks like he's going to fight Frank Sanchez. So you could probably look, if Sanchez beats Dubois, actually you could probably throw him in the mix, and maybe it could be either, even though Kobayal beat Sanchez, if Sanchez beats Dubois, all of a sudden he's pretty high on the totem pole, isn't he? So throw him in the mix as well. But either way, lots to go on in the heavyweight division and lots to look forward to. So guys, having said that, have an awesome Saturday. We'll catch you tomorrow.